What's going on, everybody? Vape Connoisseur here, back again with another review of a device that I picked up for the purposes of this review. First of all, I want to apologize if I sound a little bit croaky. I have been down with the flu a little bit and I do sound a bit stuffy. I have been vaping and testing products, so don't worry about that. But I have been on the mental drive at the moment, which is clearing up my sinuses not too bad. This is a little juice that I got from Vapor Mountain. It is Vapor Mountain Ice, so basically it's just menthol and clearing up the sinuses quite well, and vaping on that for a little bit, switching over to your favorite juice. It tastes hundreds. So I'm going to get right into it today. A little bit of vape advocacy as per normal. We all need to do our part. Countries like Australia and some areas in the US is clamping down on vaping and making these products difficult to source, difficult to buy, and they are giving us a hard time. We need to fight once again, fight for our right to vape and to be able to vape. Countries like New Zealand and the UK are very pro-vape, and they urge people to leave the cigarettes or leave tobacco products and head into vaping, and they are advocates for the healthier lifestyle and for vaping in general. So yeah, do your part, get onto those groups and make a noise and make yourself heard. That's enough about that. So what we're going to be looking at today is other than the atties that I've done before, is we're going to be looking at a mod, and this one is called the Noisy Cricket, and this is what it looks like. So if you are from South Africa, particularly Cape Town, where I'm from, this little guy has been causing quite a stir in the vaping community, and everyone is looking for one of these. Reason being, and we'll get to that in the pros and the cons, it's affordable. It is a very, very decent mod, which we'll go through in the rundown. But for the price, it's fantastic. So yeah, without further ado, let's bring it down and have a look at the Noisy Cricket version 2. And this is what your packaging will look like. So it is plastic. It is very, very, very basic. Typical Wismec. They do most of their mods in this kind of plastic setup, showing you the mod, and then obviously all their Magolis at the back. So on the side you get Noisy Cricket version 2 or 2-25, a little bit of scratch and sniff on this side, designed by Jaybo and Wismec. On the back it is pretty self-explanatory. What you get is what you see is what you get, which is the mod. Open that up, grab the mod out, you get a little battery safety card on there, and then at the bottom you get your quick guide or your user guide. There is quite a bit of interesting information in there with the 3 different setups of this mod. One being parallel, the other being series regulated, and the other one being series unregulated. Now let's just have a look at the mod. It is a pretty clean mod, brushed stainless steel or brushed silver, whatever you want to call it, maybe like a satin finish. It does look a lot nicer than the version 1 of this mod. Unfortunately, I don't have one to compare. It is also quite a bit taller, looking at about 10 millimeters taller than the version 1. On the top you have the little button, which is quite a nice springy button. Also says Jaybo on the button there. You have your potentiometer, which we'll get to in a second. You have your 5, 10, and a little plastic black insert with Wismec on there. Maybe an engraving on the side or maybe an engraving on the top would have been better than the plastic insert. However, doesn't really matter if you look at the price of this thing, which we'll go over at the end. It is roughly 22 millimeters at the thinner end and 25 millimeters at the ATI end, which shows you that you can easily put on a 25 millimeter. We're just going to do a 24 millimeter quickly and just have a look at how flush it sits. This is a 24 millimeter. As you can see, there is a bit of space still left on the side there. A 25 mil is very, very flush. So it's good to for a 25 mil 25 millimeter ATI, not mil. Right. On the side, like I said, the potentiometer, which we'll get to in a bit. At the bottom, you have your battery door or your battery, whatever you want to call it. Inside there is your battery slots where your batteries go in. Please note that your batteries do go in positive side on both sides up only. There's no mix and match and one up, one down. It is positive up on both sides. Now, when it comes to the configurations, you have parallel, which is obviously like a normal mech mod. It uses the power of the battery or the power that you have left in your battery, and it pushes that power obviously through the mod into your ATI and then into your lungs. So if your battery is fully charged, you'll get the most power out of it. If your battery is halfway, you'll only get half the amount of power, taking into account voltage drop and all that other nonsense. If you flip this little brain of the mod around, it is essentially a chip. You can swap it into series mode, and you can see on both sides it shows you parallel, negative, other side series, negative. So your negatives stay at the bottom. Flip that around and you are now in series mode. So I'm just going to flip it back into parallel, which is pretty standard and self-explanatory, and I'm going to pop the batteries in. What I'm using is Samsung 25Rs, which is quite decent batteries. This door is quite snug, so you have to press and push. Obviously with a bit of wear and tear, it'll wear out and it'd be easier. So as you can see there, that is normal parallel mode, and it's a normal mech mod. Then it uses the power of the battery as the power of the vape in essence. If we do swap it around and flip it into series, the first one that will pop up once I get that door in will be a red light, which is your series regulated. Now you can regulate that with the potentiometers, so it is anything from 2 volt to 6 volt. The only gripe I have with the setup of this is the potentiometer itself. Now you've got markings on you, you've got a little knurling on here and a little turn. It is difficult to turn this thing if you don't have fingernails. You can't just use your thumb. Eventually that thing will wear out and it'll be easier to turn. However, when it's new, it's quite difficult to turn. You've got 2 markings on here, which is 0 and 100. Now if you turn it to 100, and it is now on 0. If you turn it to 100, as you can see there, your brain will tell you that you are now at the strongest part of series regulated. You will be wrong. This is 100 is the lowest of series regulated, which is 2 volt. If you want the full 6 volt, you have to turn it to 0. Now this might cause a problem for someone who's not concentrating on what they're doing and they're used to vaping 2 or 3 volt, and all of a sudden I want to bring it down to 0, or someone else uses it and we are up to 6 volt, which is quite a lot of power. So brush up, read up, understand your device before you do anything in series mode, whether it's series unregulated or series regulated. Now, to swap it from series regulated to series unregulated is, you can see there, the light is orange. 5 clicks should turn it off, or 5 faster clicks turns it off, and the mod is now off. Now, to swap it to series unregulated, hold the button down for about 5 seconds and it'll start flashing. Right, switch it back on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you are now in series unregulated, which would give you the full 8 volt of power, which for a newbie or for some seasoned vapors, I would not even recommend this if you do not understand battery power, if you do not understand Ohm's law. You need to understand exactly what you are getting yourself into once you hit that button and you're going into that mode of vaping. It is quite a bit of power. It'll most likely blow your socks off and will most likely read about you in the evening news if you're not careful and you don't have high drain batteries, or you don't know how to build. Please do not use this device if you do not know what you are doing other than parallel. So to switch it back to series regulated is switch the mod off, hold it in for 5 seconds, flashes orange, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you are now back into series regulated, where you can regulate how much power you got. And that is pretty much it. I'm going to put it back into my normal mode, which is parallel, which I feel very much comfortable with and which I'm normally vaping on. And we will bring it back up top. And we are back on top with the Wismec Noisy Cricket version 2. Very, very nice mod. Now, like I mentioned before, and we've spoken a little bit about the different types of setups that you can do with this mod, being parallel, series regulated, series unregulated. Go and brush up and know what you are doing when you want to go into series unregulated. When it comes to series regulated, yeah, trial and error, drop it down to 2 volts and then play around with it. If you want to be safe as can be, rather keep it to the parallel mode. That gives you the max power of the battery when the batteries are full. As it goes down, the lights will start flashing. It's all in the guide. When it comes to dropping the power, it won't fire below 3.2 volts and all that nonsense. But I've not had a problem with this, and I've been testing this for quite some time now. And this is the normal ATI that I use on there. I think, if I remember correctly, it is a 0.19 build in here. And I mean, it works fine. It gives decent vapor, it gives decent power. I mean, it is essentially a very, very decent mech mod. Sorry, that juice tastes really, really good. Currently on the TKO Blue Milk. Shout out to the guys there at TKO, Lawrence Bread. You guys are doing an awesome job with this juice. And that's about pretty much it for this mod. The pros I have is, once you start going into the deeper side and the more mechanical side of of vaping. You can play around with the parallel, you can play around with the series unregulated, series regulated, and you can essentially build yourself 3 setups with 3 different atties, and you can vape it like that. Just don't get mixed up with what's what. You might just blow your face off. So beginner's vapor, of course, get yourself one of these guys, but stick to parallel. Yeah, it's so much easier to build on. It's so much easier to understand, and there's going to be no threat of blowing yourself up while you're trying to put the wrong atty in the wrong setup of the mod. Yeah, other than that, the build quality is quite good. It sits well in the hand either way. You can thumb fire, you can index finger fire. It's a very comfortable mod. It is quite lightweight. A lot of people will say, wow, don't put this kind of atty on there. I mean, this one works for me, and this setup has been working for me for quite some time now. I like the fact that it's got the venting at the bottom, which is very, very important, especially for a mechanical mod. The button feels nice. It's nice and responsive. I mean, if you press it, it works. The only issue I had was the potentiometer, that it's kind of back to front, and that it's not 100%, or 100% is 0 and 0 is 100%. That's the only other issue that I had with it. When it comes to the looks, once again, like I said with the black piece, I mean, this black and that black, it matches, it works fine. If you have a black atty, put the black atty on there. You have a stainless steel, go matchy matchy, whatever you choose, it's up to you. Now let's talk price. Believe it or not, this little mod over here will cost you, obviously minus that and minus the batteries, this will cost you anything between, depending on which store runs the special, anything between 390 Rand, which I've seen, which was the cheapest, up until about 599 Rand, which was probably the most expensive I've seen this mod retail for. They normally go for about anything between 450 and 550, which is a very, very decent price for what you get. Yes, the build quality could have been better. Some of the things could have been better, but there's endless possibilities to what you can do. Locally, I've seen a lot of guys wrapping their mods in vinyl, or in mod wrap, or whatever you want to call it, and they've styled it out. I've seen guys that's done laser engraving on it, and it looks pretty cool. But I prefer to keep it as it comes out of the factory. I just like a clean look. I like the way it looks then. And that's it for the Wismec Noisy Cricket version 2. Feel free to leave anything in the comments if you should choose. If you have any ideas, feel free to leave whatever you want. I'll see you guys next time. And in the meantime, vape on.